Do you know what the outcome of this is? They're gonna go to federal prison. Federal prison.
In a sport as volatile and unpredictable as MMA, controversy is inevitable. However, certain moments stand out as scandals that went beyond the norm, leaving a lasting impact on the sport. In today's video, we're spotlighting some of the most controversial moments in UFC history. If you enjoy the video, please give it a like and subscribe so you never miss out. Without further ado, here are 10 of the most controversial moments in UFC history, ranked in no particular order. One notable controversy involved Brock Lesnar's appearance at UFC 200. The UFC has been known to bend the rules, and Lesnar's situation was a prime example. With the landmark event in need of a headliner after the collapse of both Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier 2 and Conor McGregor versus Nick Diaz 2, the UFC worked out an exemption for Lesnar. Typically, returning athletes must spend 6 months in the USADA testing pool before they are eligible to fight, but Lesnar was allowed to bypass this rule, raising eyebrows across the MMA world. This decision highlighted the UFC's willingness to prioritize star power and event success over strict adherence to regulations.
I'm here, people. It's happening. I feel awesome. I'm here.
Overall, the UFC's move seemed successful, as Lesnar sold many pay-per-views and defeated Mark Hunt on the main card. However, the victory was overshadowed when it was revealed that Brock had failed his post-fight drug test, tainting the moment.
Failed test for clomiphene.
He took estrogen blockers. The only reason that anybody takes estrogen blocker on purpose is to restart their testosterone after they do a steroid cycle.
They knew he was on the juice. He went in there loaded to the gills. Look at the size of his head. He's taking shit that makes your head grow. And Mark Hunt had every right to be mad.
The UFC, your shit. Well, let this piece of sticking needles in his ass and say, oh, let him cheat all the way to the bank. And your shit company.
The UFC appeared confident in their decision. Though the fight's result was overturned to a no contest, the promotion still retained the revenue generated from UFC 200.
Well, let's get one thing clear. Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants to do.
I'm a white boy, and I'm jacked. Deal with it.
Daniel Cormier isn't typically seen as a dirty fighter, but his actions at the UFC 210 pre-fight weigh-in raised eyebrows. His weigh-in before facing Anthony Johnson in 2017 was notably suspicious, and in recent years, DC has all but admitted to manipulating the results to make weight.
I feel like right now is the time to be completely transparent. I think I may have grabbed the towel in Buffalo.
The burden of that lie, I don't lie. So having to carry a lie like that on my heart is too much. I'm an innocent guy, Habib.
So what happened? Initially, seemed like Cormier wasn't going to make weight.
Cormier weighs in at 206.2 pounds.
But on the second attempt, out of nowhere, he suddenly burned off the necessary pounds.
Now Daniel Cormier is back and made weight. How did that happen?
Of course, fans quickly noticed that he had been leaning on the towel used to preserve his modesty, and so the infamous towel gate was born.
Time with Rumble. Did you push down on that towel?
What? Was there a towel?
If you focus on his hands, you can see him looking down, balancing out his weight just right to make 205. What a clever trick.
It seemed like there was a lot of people who thought that the towel was why you made weight.
What is doing that do? I don't understand. No, I just wanted to make sure I didn't show my junk. Something's wrong with the scale.
Say what you will about TJ Dillashaw, but there's no denying he's one of the most competitive fighters to ever step into an MMA cage. However, that relentless drive has led him to make some questionable decisions. In his pursuit of greatness, Dillashaw attempted to drop to 125 pounds to challenge Henry Cejudo for the title. Desperate to make the weight, he resorted to using EPO, an illegal performance enhancer, which eventually led to his suspension. Later, after a grueling camp to prepare for a bantamweight title fight against Aljamain Sterling, Dillashaw's shoulder was barely holding together. Despite this, he refused to pull out, hoping against the odds that he could still win. When his shoulder gave out early in the fight, it resulted in a disappointing experience for the fans, a wasted effort for Sterling, and ultimately, a career-ending injury for Dillashaw himself.
This was a waste of everyone's time.
Yes.
Should this fight have even happened at all? No, it shouldn't have.
I completely blew my shoulder out at the end of April. Probably dislocated a good 20 times throughout training camp.
Were you aware that TJ Dillashaw had that shoulder injury?
Yeah, I had no idea. That's a problem. That's something that he should have told us.
I knew my shoulder was a little bit messed up because I had some weakness in it. Come to find out, I had a torn supraspinatus and infraspinatus in my shoulder. I feel like the body just kind of like breaking down and just got loose to where it actually popped out twice while I was in Abu Dhabi getting ready for the fight. Yeah, man, it was bad. It was bad.
Nick Diaz is undeniably one of the most authentic personalities in mixed martial arts, attracting a loyal fan base by staying true to himself and refusing to conform to the typical hype of the fight game. However, his rebellious nature led to trouble with the Nevada State Athletic Commission when he received another violation for marijuana use. In response, the commission decided to make an example out of Diaz, handing down an incredibly harsh punishment, a 5-year ban from the sport and a staggering $165,000 fine. This decision sparked widespread outrage and became one of the most controversial moments in MMA history.
Make a motion for then a 5-year suspension of this athlete, that he be financially penalized to the amount of 33% of his purse, which was $500,000. Is that correct, Mr. Eccles?
This commission and everybody, they've done everything they can to keep me from being all the way on top. I wanted to, just get up and tell them all, like, look, you guys are way the out of line. You guys have been trying to hold me down from day one. They can't beat me in a fight, so they pull me into their dork court, and then they're like, try to take all my money, and then just decide to point the finger at me like I'm the bad guy. They know it's wrong.
This was an insane punishment for a guy who had never tested positive for PEDs. In fact, most people who do test positive for PEDs would get a ban or a fine anywhere near this.
It's so unfair. If one person tests for steroids, that could actually really hurt a person. The other person smokes a plant that makes them happy, and he gets suspended for 5 years. Whereas the guy that could have hurt someone so much that he could have died in there gets a slap on the wrist. It's not fair.
I think it was a completely arbitrary and capricious decision. We're not getting an impartial hearing. This isn't fair. This was a kangaroo court. The commissioner's decision was not based on the facts. It wasn't based on the evidence. One commissioner says, your attorneys were very persuasive, but you don't respect us. So here's a 5-year ban and a ton of money that we're going to take back.
He had no fair hearing. He wasn't going to get one. It was a preordained outcome.
When the entire MMA world revolted against Nick Diaz's harsh punishment, the Nevada State Athletic Commission eventually reduced his fine to $100,000 and shortened the suspension to 18 months. However, Diaz never truly forgave the sport for nearly ending his career. A similar controversy arose with the relocation of UFC 232. Highlighting Dana White's occasional hypocrisy. If there's money on the line or a bankable star in trouble, Dana will do whatever it takes to keep promoting them, even if it ruffles feathers. In 2018, Jon Jones failed yet another drug test before UFC 232 in Las Vegas. Unable to get his biggest star cleared to fight, Dana made a bold decision that sparked widespread criticism.
We were informed earlier this week by the United States Anti-Doping Agency a urine sample collected from Jon Jones tested positive for a very, very small amount of a long-term metabolite. We took this information to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and while I think they understood the issue, partly because the Christmas holiday here didn't feel they had the time to fully vet this issue.
So what did he do well just days out from this massive event? White basically screwed over the fans by moving the show from Vegas to California, messing up everyone's accommodation and travel plans just so he could keep Jon Jones on.
Dana, as I've been told, you have an update on the card this weekend scheduled for Las Vegas.
We're moving it from Las Vegas to the Forum in LA. There's not enough time for Nevada to do this, so we're moving the event to California, where that commission has already dealt with Jon Jones.
What about the other fighters on the card, Dana? How are they impacted by this? By no fault of their own, they're going to have to move their camp and their final preparations to Los Angeles, which is at best a 4-hour drive.
Well, we'll take care of that. We're going to make the transition as smooth as we possibly can.
It's a bit of a hassle for all of us. It pisses me off. I'm a bit disappointed it's going to cost all of us. I don't think it's going to cost Jon Jones much, but it'll cost us, cost my family a fair bit.
I think it was more of like an annoyance. I'm just like, really? For one person?
A lot of people are upset about accommodations that they made with their family. It's definitely unfortunate that a product of one person, everything around Jon Jones, and we all have to kind of pay for it.
Charles Oliveira's title stripping during fight week was a shocking display. The final word from the scales is law, but something was clearly off leading up to Oliveira's title defense against Justin Gaethje. The scandal shook the lightweight division as several fighters on the card noticed discrepancies between their backstage weigh-ins and the official scale readings. When the defending lightweight champion, Oliveira, missed weight by just a fraction of a pound. It led to his title being stripped, sparking outrage and controversy across the MMA community.
155.5 for Charles Oliveira.
It was clear that something was up.
He got screwed. There was some shenanigans with the scale.
Many other people have stated that the scale was off, and a whole bunch of fighters said it was off by half of a pound.
Seemingly he was on weight last night. He was on weight in the back, and we're hearing rumblings on the ground that there were some scale recalibrations and some discrepancies.
He would weigh in, or he weighed in like the night before the weigh-ins. He was like, oh, I'm good to go. And then in the morning, he goes and shows up for the weight cut, and it's a pound plus off. The scale was off, and that's a fact.
Despite the controversy, the UFC chose to strip Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira of his title, turning his victory over Justin Gaethje into a non-title performance. What could have been his second successful title defense, instead, marked an unfortunate end to his reign.
Can you give us your thoughts on this whole weight fiasco and him losing the belt and just, I guess, your...
It's a nightmare. I mean, it's a nightmare. He didn't make weight. We have rules. He didn't make the weight. He doesn't, the belt is vacant. I'm sure in the minds of the media and fight fans, Oliveira is the champion. But technically, he's the #1 contender now.